Hello, and welcome back. This video is about getting a better understanding of how KillZ works and how that relates to player respawn or restart. And a special thanks to all my supporters. Thank you for helping me help others. So to start, this is a fresh third-person C++ project, and all I did was move the wall out a little bit. If you've looked up how to respawn a player, you might have seen a process where they use KillZ or just call DestroyActor in Blueprint or destroy in C++. So KillZ as a world setting is down here. We see that KillZ says that any actor falling below this level gets destroyed. So if we just hit play, we run off an edge, about 1,000 down, the player gets destroyed, and that's it. So if we go into our third-person blueprint, you can see that I created an event for destroyed, and right now it's just printing out player destroyed, and then it's trying to call restart player. So to restart a player, you can just get the game mode. You don't have to cast it to anything, you just call restart player, and you need to send along the controller. Now this looks like it should work. We're calling the game mode's restart player and sending along our current controller. The problem is that when the player is destroyed, the controller is no longer attached and get controller is returning none. In a single player game, you could just use get a player controller instead. And this is not related to the current actor that we're in, so if you do that, that will just work. So if we do this, we run it, we can see that we run off the edge. When it gets there, it just calls restart player, all good. However, this video is about understanding Unreal a little better, so instead we want to make sure we save our current controller to a variable so we can use it here. So for that, you might think in begin play, we can just then get our controller, and we could save that to a variable, call this controller ref. So we do that, and then in here we can just drag in our controller reference and see if that works. So we jump off the edge, it calls destroy, our onDestroyed spits out that print, calls restart player, and it looks like it's working. So great, end of the video. However, it doesn't work a second time. The reason why that is because the restart player, the Unreal code for this, basically what it's doing is it's spawning a new actor for the player, and then it's calling the player controller's possess. So since the player's controller's possess is being called after the spawn, and when you spawn an actor, that is when begin play but gets called, this here is also returning none. Luckily, when a player controller is possessed, there's an event we can use to set that. So we have an event possessed and unpossessed. So for our event possessed, we can then just control drag that up here, pop that up, and when we die the second time in here, first time, all good. Second time, also all good. So similarly, we have our KillZ as a world setting. We also have, up here, we have volumes, and there's one here that's KillZ Volume. So in this case, it says KillZ Volume is a volume used to determine when actors should be killed. Killing logic is overridden in FellOutOfWorld. So that's really important. We're getting a little bit more information here. If you hold Control and Alt, you get a bunch more information. So instead, we'll explain that a bit later, but in this case, we're just going to pop this over here. So it's, not just in a too hard to reach place. Actually, this looks like it needs to be up a little higher. So similar to our world settings KillZ, when we enter this, it just calls the same logic. You see our player destroyed up at the top, and it's working the same as falling off. So now we know that the KillZ logic is destroying our player character, but what if we want to understand more about how that works, or prevent or just delay the destroy call and choose another method? And this is where some C++ knowledge comes in handy. Even if you're planning to stick to blueprints, it'll help to follow along and get a peek under the hood. The easiest way to do this on your own machine is to get a copy of Visual Studio, which is free. create a third-person project and set it to C++ instead of blueprints. Once you have that base project opened in Visual Studio, you have the option to search through the project as well as through the engine source. Now, if we hadn't seen that the KillZ volume exists and the comment on that volume gives us a big hint about FellOutOfWorld, we could start by searching for KillZ. So in Visual Studio, we can just do a search through all files, find in files, which is Control-Shift-F. We want to make sure that our look-in, which would start as default or current project, is an entire solution. And in here, we can look for KillZ. But currently, KillZ returns 122 entries. Now, if you had a little more experience, you might know that KillZ is a world settings, and you can do a search for world settings dash greater than the dereference pointer KillZ. And with that, you can find it a little easier. However, the note that we saw mentions that an actor is destroyed. So if we have in this window, we can search in our find results. So we can check the actor.cpp file directly, and we see here that there's some logic. So in here we have a function check still in world, which is basically checking our z location. If it's less than the kill z, then it's going to create a damage type and call FellOutOfWorld. Now, FellOutOfWorld may be familiar because we just saw it in the KillZ Volume comment or tooltip. And if we click on that and do our Control-Shift-F, we can then find all. And we can see that it's also being called from the KillZ volume. We see in our volume that actor entered volume, and then for that actor, it's calling FellOutOfWorld. So if we right-click that and go to definition, or just hit F12, you can see this is where the magic happens. So we saw both cases. When the character has gone below the KillZ value in the world settings, it will call FellOutOfWorld. The KillZ volume will call FellOutOfWorld if it enters the volume. And the end result of that is that destroy on this actor gets called. It's the same as DestroyActor in blueprints. So that's all well and good. We now understand how and why it works this way. And if you're sticking to blueprints, what we've done is about all you can do because FellOutOfWorld cannot be overridden in blueprints. So if we click on this, hit F12, it'll take us to the header file. So in C++ then, we can basically take this header file. You can see it's virtual. We can then copy the signature into our KillZ Volume character, which I've already done. So in our KillZ Volume, then we have our FellOutOfWorld. And I've created a blueprint implementable event called onFellOutOfWorld. So then in our CPP file, this is the overridden FellOutOfWorld call. The fact that we're not calling the super version means that this version is not being called and destroy is not being called. So instead, we're just calling our blueprint implementable event. Of course, if you're doing C++, you can add whatever logic you want in here. But instead, if we do this, I'll close the editor and then I'll compile and relaunch the editor, and I'll see you back in a sec. So back in the editor, we're overriding FellOutOfWorld and we're currently not doing anything with it. So what happens in that case? When you go into this kill volume, nothing happens because it's calling FellOutOfWorld. FellOutOfWorld is doing nothing. However, when you fall off here, it's calling FellOutOfWorld, but because of where it's calling it from, the character is basically just stuck there. I mean, we don't want that, but now we have the option to do things. So if we wanted to do something, we could go back into our character blueprint. We then do our onFellOutOfWorld. And if you're doing this in blueprints, then you can do some functionality. In C++ or blueprints, maybe you want to add a dying animation. You'd probably want to disable the input controls for the character at that point in time. Do the dying animation. When the dying animation is done, then you're going to end up wanting to call DestroyActor again. So with that done, then it will work the same way effectively that it did before. And there we have it. So with this newfound power, you could do something a little different when they enter a KillZ volume, like just reset a character to a respawn point midway through the level, or whatever it is you want to do. Either way, thanks for watching. If you liked the video and would like to see more, you know what to do. And if you would like to support this channel, watch these videos 2 weeks early, or just want to download the project files, you can do so through my Patreon linked below.